Hi there. It's October the 5th, and we're continuing our journey through the prophecies of Jeremiah. In Hebrew, Yirmiyahu means the Lord will promote or the Lord appoints. And we've come to chapter 4, and we're going through to chapter 6, verse 15. We're starting around the middle of chapter 4, verse 19. And there's a real cry of pain at chapter 4:19 here, because of the idolatry, because of the unrighteousness that is there in Jerusalem. In fact, it's likened, God likens it through the prophet to the scene of chaos that there was at the beginning, when there was no earth and there was no light in heaven. And he actually uses the words that are there in the initial verses to describe chaos and an emptiness, tahu vavohu in Hebrew. And he says that's what it's like. That's what he's seeing coming on Israel into the future. There's darkness, there's destruction. Meanwhile, Jerusalem is still trying to look good for the idols, making herself beautiful, or trying to make herself look beautiful, but is actually just heading for woe, heading for darkness, heading for destruction. And then Jeremiah chapter 5, the prophet is inspired by the Spirit of God to search for justice in Jerusalem. He's looking through the streets of Jerusalem, but all he finds is lies and deceit and deception. Justice is not being done, and also the people are walking in foolishness, which makes them vulnerable to attack, like attack from wild animals. The children are taking on foreign gods, or actually Jeremiah uses the words that are no gods. They are non-gods, what the next generation is taking on. And even the prophets and the priests are failing the people by saying that all will be well. It's all going to be all right. You needn't worry. And so Jeremiah raises this spectre of a coming nation that is going to overwhelm, a distant nation whose tongue they do not know. And because of the rebellious and the revolutionary heart that is in the people, God is going to purge them with this distant nation. He says there's no fear of God. And not only that, but they set traps for the poor, so they're oppressing the poor through their deception and through their traps. And as we say, the prophets and the priests are no better. They are also misleading the people. And so in chapter 6 we see the destruction is going to come from the north, this destruction of Babylon that is coming, this tidal wave of attack that's coming. There's the talk of a ramp being set against Jerusalem, which refers to the siege ramp that was raised. And even though these words are being spoken by Jeremiah, even though there are these warnings, the people's ears are closed. They're not listening. They're not having listening ears. In fact, instead of listening to God, the prophets are busy saying, peace, peace. And Jeremiah says, but there is no peace. There is only destruction coming. There is only sadness coming. It's quite simple in a sense. The people could return to God. The people all the time, there's a possibility of coming back to God because God loves them. God is in covenant with them. God cannot be untrue to himself, but neither can he turn a blind eye to unrighteousness, and particularly when his beloved people are turning themselves over to what is non-God's. We should always be checking ourselves with our loyalties and with what holds our hearts. Our hearts are to be pure, are to be wholehearted for God himself, but so often there are things that try and get in. Let's ask that our ears should always be open to hear what God is saying to us, so that we avoid in any way going after the non-gods which cannot compete, are no rivals to the one true God. Have a very good October 5th.